Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbley, and today a little recording called Stone Ape. For many years I've wanted to record a slightly political, slightly esoteric podcast, and I really wasn't able to do this through the late 2000s. I had collected together a group of slightly miscreant artificial life developers, but really, the political depth and the analytical depth that could be undertaken through a Biota Live recording wasn't really there. They were curious characters, they had a variety of political beliefs, but basically, aside from the occasional Democrat, there wasn't really anyone who was even close to a social radical level in order to explore ideas that I really wanted to talk about. Then by chance I discovered Heron Stone, and I discovered Heron Stone actually recording Biota Live. You can go back and listen, it's Mark Beddoes recording on Biota Live featuring Heron Stone, but Heron called in and chastised me associated with how I didn't understand the podcasting format, which at the time was very curious to me, but I allowed the gentleman to say what he had to say. He concluded the podcast in a somewhat raspy way by saying that we should communicate further about how I could explore podcasting as a means of getting out my ideas better. I then spoke to him a few weeks later, and this is recorded in the Stone Ape pilot episode number 0. He was in a Starbucks at the time, his audio was appalling, his mic was poppy, and this kind of framed the nature of our discussion for at least the first, maybe 8 or so recordings. Heron and I have recorded for more than 100 podcasts now. There was a period of time where we took a break. Really, I took a break. I was moving to the San Francisco Bay Area, and also I was in a period of time in my job where I wasn't necessarily as cognitively linguistically aligned as I am currently, and I needed to devote a substantial portion of my energy purely to that survival thing that I talked about on previous Short Funks. That being said, Heron provided a great outlet to run ideas, which I'm now airing almost exclusively through Short Funks. However, the quality of the interruptions, the quality of the dynamism, and the ability to inject some humour at various stages makes Stone Ape, more importantly, a unique form, and one that I think is very important, and one that I will continue to do for the foreseeable future until Heron and I have a, no doubt, bloody and extreme and prolonged falling out. I don't necessarily anticipate that that's going to happen, but the potential is there, and the potential has been there about a variety of topics. When I talk about this to people, they often pose to me, what will those topics be? And I've talked candidly with my spiritual advisor in a Stone Ape associated with some of these topics, so for the hardcore, you can probably go back and listen. But for the foreseeable future, my ability to have a conversation with Heron Stone also overlaps with a variety of topics that I probably wouldn't air in Short Funk, primarily because the topics are just too long and extended. And although while I might be heavily interrupted through airing these topics through Stone Ape normally, I still might try and run that gauntlet to see if the topics will persist sufficiently that I can at least generate a set of footnotes of things that I should have said, which will end up in Short Funk recordings. If I look at the lineage of these recordings, I certainly see a connection between some of those abstract Biota Lives, clearly Stone Ape, and now Short Funk. In terms of the direction that these things go, I'm going to experiment in the near future with a little pressure cooker situation. After probably about a decade of not having a PR person, and really the function of the PR person is just to generate press releases for me to rewrite and then for them to publish, I'm going to dip my toe in the water of having an official PR person sometime within the next couple of months. What will this mean? Well, a variety of my projects that seem to be slightly long in the tooth and long-suffering will no doubt get a new invigoration of absolutely hyper-obsessed fan folk for a short period of time at least, and maybe in the medium term, folks might come to this recording, might come to my other recordings, who normally wouldn't have discovered about this kind of podcasting form. What I find through recording these podcasts is a wide variety of people discover these podcasts and then stick around for the long haul. And really, I've got nothing negative to say associated with these folk. But as you ebb and flow, as you create various ideas, and as media is generated associated with these ideas, my hope is that these things will grow, if not necessarily the exponential pace that Model Rail Radio has set, at least linearly. And for a plug of a prior recording, please consider promoting Short Funk accordingly. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.